Come on. Good evening, everybody. With the time being 8:35, I'd like to call the Government Operations Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Bessner.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Fokitis.
Here.
Folks.
Here.
Bungard.
Here.
Munns.
Here.
Gem.
Here.
Spellman.
Here.
Petrilla.
Here.
Werball.
Here. Okay, thank you very much. First up, I'm looking for a motion and second for item 5A of the omnibus.
Motion.
Motion by Spellman, a second by Folks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Okay, that item carries. Thank you very much. Next up, we have item 6A. Chief Likens is going to make 3 brief presentations regarding some liquor licenses.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chief.
The first one I have on the agenda tonight is the approval for a proposal for a D1 liquor license for the Hilton Garden Inn. This was presented earlier this evening to the Liquor Commission and came out of that committee with a unanimous vote of approval. The Hilton Garden Inn was sold to a new owner, so that new owner is now applying for a liquor license under that corporation. They've been vetted. The backgrounds have been done. Unfortunately, she was here this evening, but she did have to head out, so she's not here with us tonight. But it did come out of committee, and we had no issues with their business plan. They're not changing anything operationally. The employees are going to stay the same. The manager, who's been there about 15 years, is going to stay the same. So status quo other than an ownership change.
Is there any questions regarding this?
Move for approval.
Second. I have a motion by Werball, seconded by Gem. Roll call, please.
Bessner.
Yes.
Fokitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Gem.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Werball.
Yes.
Great, that motion carries. Next up, item 6B. Go ahead, Chief.
The next one is going to be for Centauro Incorporated doing business as Playa, and Carlos is here with us this evening in the room. Again, this passed out of the Liquor Control Commission earlier this evening with unanimous vote. They're seeking a C1 liquor license, authorizing the retail sale of alcoholic liquors for consumption on premises as a tavern, bar, or saloon. Carlos has been involved in the restaurant business for a long time with his family. They own multiple restaurants, both in St. Charles and in the surrounding community. Everything was in the background was on the up and up. We saw no issues with their business plan. They're going to host some private events also, so it'll be a little bit different from some of their other establishments. And this is going to be important for you guys. It's going to be located at 2061 Lincoln Highway, which I'm understanding is by the gym.
By Planet Fitness.
Correct. Planet Fitness. So.
Yes.
But yes, came out of committee again with no issues.
Great. Is there any questions regarding this?
Move for approval.
Second. Motion by Werball, seconded by Petrilla. Roll call, please.
Bessner.
Yes.
Fokitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Gem.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Werball.
Yes.
Great, that motion carries. Carlos, thank you for continuously investing in the community. Your restaurant happens to be in mine and Alderman Bessner's ward, so we appreciate the investment. Thank you. Next up, we have item 6C. Go ahead, Chief.
Yes, sir. Carrie Ann's Wellness, and again, Miss Carolyn is here in the crowd with us tonight. She waited it out. This is going to be seeking a massage license for Carrie Ann's Wellness. It's going to be located at 150 South Kirk Road in the Posh Salon Suites. She is a licensed Illinois therapist. She will be the only employee there herself, owner-operator. It will be by appointment only from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And again, the business plan, the inspection of the site, and the background all came out of committee earlier with no issues.
Great. Is there any questions regarding this?
For approval.
I have a motion by Munn, seconded by Werball. Roll call, please.
Bessner.
Yes.
Fokitis.
Yes.
Folks.
Yes.
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Gem.
Yes.
Spellman.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Werball.
Yes.
All right, great. That motion carries. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Chief.
Chief.
Next up, we have Director Bill Hanley. He's going to make a presentation regarding the 2025 property tax levies for the special service areas. That's item 7B. Go ahead.
Thank you, and good evening, Chair Weber. Every year during the normal tax levy process, the city also levies for currently eight active special service areas, primarily for common area maintenance, detention basin, landscaping, and mowing. This year, the city is recommending only 2 minor changes in 2 of the SSAs, roughly a 3.7% increase for the SSA 1A, the downtown parking maintenance one, and the SSA 1B, which is the downtown support and revitalization. SSA primarily supporting the St. Charles Business Alliance. All the other SSA recommendations for this upcoming year are remaining the same as last year. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Director Hannah. Is there any questions regarding this item?
Munn moves for approval.
Second.
Motion by Munn, seconded by Wirball. Roll call, please.
Bessner.
Yes.
Kulkaitis.
Yes.
Foltz.
Yes.
Bungard.
Yes.
Munns.
Yes.
Gem.
Yes.
Spelman.
Yes.
Petrilla.
Yes.
Wirball.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, that motion carries. Thank you, Director Hannah. Next up, we have item 8A. Heather's going to make couple comments, and then we'll kind of see how this progresses.
Yep. So I was already planning on making some of these comments before the length of the meeting tonight. I know it's been a little bit of a long night, and it's probably not the most productive time to talk about council initiatives. However, I did want to just give a couple other comments that just to provide two different options to City Council this evening. One is that I am working on gathering all of the feedback from the prior to conversations that we have had, understanding that conversation did not go, I think, as council was probably hoping. It wasn't as discussion-based as the intent originally was. So in an effort to gather all of those initiatives that were listed, creating a format where we can actually have a little bit more of dialogue about that anyway. So that's already in the works as I'm trying to gather the remaining piece of this with housing, zoning, and land use. So the option for tonight is either I can hear just a quick list of items that council wants to add to that list. I do already have the written feedback that council provided to me. If anybody wants to provide me some additional ones, I can gather that as well and work that into that format, that I bring that back in more of a workshop discussion-based format. So we can either just pause it and I can push this discussion item to next city council meeting and government ops meeting, or everybody can email me and I can retool that conversation for a couple weeks, a couple months from now.
Is everyone good with retooling?
Pausing? Yeah.
I was going to say, it's like a level set, so I would favor that.
Okay.
I would think a couple of us were absent, I think.
I would just ask if anybody has anything that they wanted to add to the list that they have not already sent me, if you can send that to me so I can make sure to work that into how I separate out these discussions. I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Sorry, Heather, could you please just clarify when the next discussion will be?
So as we get into the holidays, I know we're kind of moving some meetings around, so I anticipate that'll probably be into January given the schedule, but I'll try to start it very quickly because what I would like to do is work that into both the department director as well as our department goals for the upcoming year as well as budget discussions.
So,
Go ahead, Ron.
I'm sorry, so we get into this in Q1, we gather all this, what are we doing with this stuff? Or forgive me, I've kind of lost track of what the exercise even was with some of the initiatives.
So a lot of the initiatives are really based more into strategic planning type things. So they will be things that either require budget planning and or working in staff time to draft ordinances or do research. So the idea is that we're spreading our workload as staff into these policy-driven initiatives that council is requesting.
So we won't be able to do that from a budget perspective because you'll be well into Q1, Q2. So
It'll line up right with our budget discussion, so that's why the intent would be to bring it back in January so we can work those things into that discussion.
So how are you going to do the initiatives if I want to do X and Jamie wants to do Y and Brian wants to do Z? How, like, the time, it just seems like we go through this exercise every time of we got this thing and then we kick it 60 days and before you know it, there's a new thing and then you keep going and it's like, there's got to be a different way to, try and juggle all of these balls that feel like you're moving in a more efficient way.
It does feel like that. So just from an overarching perspective, really where we take our planning directives each year are from the strategic plan. So when we do that update every 2 years, every 4 years, that's where the city staff drives all of our initiatives and all our planning for the year. There are going to inevitably be things that pop up during the year that we need to address, whether that's in an ordinance form or different strategic goals, different capital improvements. So we do try to work those in where we can, but from a good practice perspective, we should be focusing those efforts on strategic planning so that we have time to then allot that appropriate workload and staff time to those items.
So and then I'll be quiet, and then I'll get to Brian. So, but if you're doing a strategic plan update every 2 or 4 years that's really staff-driven, council's role is to represent, people and to set the vision. So aren't we doing this a little bit backwards? So, hey, these are the priorities we want to do that we know that operationally and functionally staff has jobs, subject matter experts, but the reality is part of the reason why we feel like we're always playing catch up with some of this stuff is we don't prioritize to the 10 people up here that are supposed to be advocating for their awards. like, it just seems like this keeps getting pushed back to what the initiatives are and the priorities that we want to focus in on.
So the strategic plan is council-driven, not staff-driven. So that was that exercise we went through 2 years ago. 4 years? 2 years ago.
Updated 2 years ago.
That was our brand-new strategic plan. So those items come from council in terms of what are your focuses? Is it technology-driven? Is it pedestrian-driven? All of those items. And then those goals form what we do our planning on each year for our, whether it's budget, whether it's our initiatives that we're doing from a staff level. So that's really where those items come from. That is council-driven, and that was council-driven last time, so we will be engaging in an update this year as well. This exercise was really to hear some of those things that didn't make it into the strategic plan so we can start to plan those items out as well. We completed our pedestrian study, for example, and that has become more of a pressing drive from a lot of city council members. So as we're trying to work in very specific improvements into those are the type of items that we're trying to figure out how we can fit those within the existing framework of operations as well as those overarching strategic plan goals.
Go ahead, Brian.
Just a suggestion, since you're talking about coming back in January to touch on some of these initiatives, perhaps we could consider the one for tonight, development, housing, and zoning, to put that on a planning and development committee agenda, and then perhaps one would go on government operations, so we're not 12 months out by the time we get to this one, or maybe something Jamie wants to talk to Mark. I think if we divide it up to something that fits into that category for that committee, maybe we can get through it a little bit quicker. Just a thought, throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'm happy to put those on different committees. I think part of the struggle we have right now is trying to find enough time to dedicate towards a really robust discussion on it. And we're either at the tail end of a city council and committee meeting where we have to do those business operational items, which is, I'll go back, and I know, Brian, you and I have had this conversation about committee of the whole and really trying to create that forum on those off Mondays to have those type of high-level discussions, because it is difficult when we have a night like tonight where the agenda itself wasn't heavy. It would have been a good opportunity to dedicate that time, but we had public comment for an hour and a half, and I think that was really important dialogue to have, but then it curtails that discussion at the end of the night. So by creating those meetings that are only intended to be discussion-based in that format, that's really the best opportunity, so we know we have council members dedicated on those Mondays, and there's recurring opportunities to talk about those.
Yeah, I just think for us to kind of get, and I understand, like, tonight, you never know, right?
Yeah, I'm happy to add that to the December one, and, Russ obviously is not here tonight either.
January would be good, so that way it gives you guys time to prepare and stuff. I'm just saying, if you want to start in January, we can divide it up if it makes sense. Finance would be government operations. This would be planning and development. Maybe there's some government services like the dam that some folks like to talk about, right, Ryan?
I appreciate it, right?
So I'm just throwing that out there as a...
Yeah, I think my focus really is to make sure that the discussion itself is productive versus where it's sort of been me up here and everybody talking at me. Part of my impetus is to say I need to remove myself from standing up here, because otherwise I think the information comes at me versus the council having the discussion
and
together.
For me, I think this is more like, for tonight, it would have been more policy-driven, I think. And that would have been a discussion, how comfortable are you with this policy or that policy? And it's more listening, and I think the initial discussion is a policy discussion, and then maybe if there's interest, you take it to the next level where it's more in-depth. If there's no interest in it, there's no point in carrying on with the discussion.
I agree. That is our goal as staff, and there are a lot of initiatives right now that we've collected from the last couple discussions, and obviously those are things that we cannot effectuate all within one single fiscal year, so it's prioritizing those, but we have to get all the information before we can decide the priority from council.
Go ahead, Ryan. No. Obviously, a lot of this, I feel like a lot of these things could be discussed at the retreats that we have. I think that'd make a big difference. We didn't have that opportunity to do it as much this time, but so I feel like we're scrambling now. So
I think part of the challenge we after 4 years on this job, part of the challenge we run into, and from an elected to a staff perspective, it's hard to feel like you're juggling 47 priorities when, if you have consensus on something that you want to do, that makes it easier for staff, but we're never able to land at spots like, hey, what do you want to do with the dam? That's not an easy conversation, but one that deserves, let's have these robust conversations and go back and forth where people can learn. But if you just kick it to staff to say, well, hey, come up with a solution, let us know, those are tall orders, and there's 1,000 of them, but then, this side of the aisle feels like we're constantly waiting on, when are we gonna have that conversation? It's like, well, we're gonna do it at the Super Bowl. Like,
You will have your opportunity on that specific issue in just a couple weeks.
I think we moved that meeting in December, but that's either here or there. But that's kind of the goal, is like, you just keep looking at this, and the pages on the calendar just keep getting ripped off, and you don't feel like you're actually getting to, what do you want to do with some of these things?
What I will say is there's a lot of ideas and a lot of drive from council, and I really appreciate that. I think it's just trying to find the right forum to have the conversation, to get those things on the list and coming down the pipeline. So I think us as staff, we hear you and we want to be responsive to those. But, having just a list, like you said, of 47 things to tackle and decide which things are most important becomes difficult. So I think it's creating the initial discussion to prioritize those so we know what we're set to tackle for that next year too.
Anything for public comment? Anyone, public comment? Seeing none? Any additional items from mayor, council, or staff?
One sec.
Go ahead, Jamie.
Thank you. I just wanted to use this opportunity to just point out on our government operations meeting that the liquor license for one of those three, they're going to wait almost 2 months to have a liquor license because of our meeting structure, and I think it's a great illustration for one of the benefits moving towards the committee of the whole. In addition to having these conversations, to having those in a committee of the whole structure, because you're not pinned into one particular topic as to what can be seen at that meeting. And I just wanted to make that point clear that we've actually have a business that's impacted in this situation, where they're not even able to sell alcohol for 2 months because they have to wait for our specific meetings to happen in a certain order before they're going to be able to have that. And then, again, this conversation that we want to have about council initiatives, I think it's really important that we have that opportunity. And in the proposed structure, it seems like that is built into that without having additional meetings that are unscheduled or on days that we wouldn't normally have them, or taking a whole Saturday, and there would actually be the opportunity to do that. So I just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
I'd like to just make a quick comment to counter Jamie's comments about committee of the whole. It's 9 o'clock and we're checking out. So committee of the whole, this is 2 meetings. So when you do committee of the whole, you're talking about government services, government operations, planning and development committee, city council. That doesn't include public comments. So I recall 2 months ago, we were going to do council initiatives, and everybody checked out on that one at 9:15. So keep that in mind when you go to committee of the whole. It is a very, very long night. So the idea that, well, we got all this time, you're packing a lot in there twice a month. And if we're checking out at 8:53, I'm not sure how beneficial that'll be at the end of the day. Personally, I think there's a lot of opportunity when you meet 4 times a month. You can spread all this out and get it done. And like I mentioned before, you can take some of those initiatives and spread it out over the committees and get it done sooner rather than I'll catch it. Or if you're doing a committee of the whole and you say, you know what, let's do it this Monday. Well, a lot of us last minute travel. We're out of town. This is a part-time. When you know ahead of time you need to be here, there's a benefit to that. So just throwing that out there.
Go ahead, Mark.
Little lighter note, I want to give a shout out to the 3 students who stayed. Wow. What you students got to see tonight was a very passionate community. I think you guys should, I hope you realize how lucky you were to be at a meeting where you got to hear so many different opinions, point of views, thoughts. This is something that Dr. Johnson probably is going to realize he wishes he could have been here and seen as he sat through some of these that haven't been like that. And like I said, I would write him in the email saying you guys were here late so you can get out doing your homework. But thank you guys for staying, but more important, being involved in that class and seeing kind of our community in action here. So just thank you guys for staying.
Yeah, thank you. And if there's a way we can offer our support to get some extra credit for tonight, let us know what we can do.
Keep your folks, he'll sign your late, your late arrival slip. So you can show up late tomorrow. You're good.
They get a homework pass?
Yeah, tell the school we'll come in and start out.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
We have no need for executive session tonight, so with that, I'm looking for a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Gem, seconded by Wirball. Roll call, please. I'm just joking. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, and the meeting is adjourned.